Hello and welcome to the tech session. My name is Noman Khan, and this tech session I will show you how you can use Yealink Phones with Microsoft Active Directory. For example, how you can retrieve the user details like its phone numbers, its internal extensions and other informations using the phone so that you can have a centralized phone directory. Using Microsoft Active Directory on Windows Server 2016 as a corporate phone book directory. So let's begin. Now before we start, let me understand what is a corporate phone directory. So in larger organizations, for example, 500, 1000 or above 1000, 5000 employees, or let's say if you got 100 employees, then it's very hard to search for each and every phone numbers or the contact or their extensions. What normally people are doing, they're writing all phone numbers, their extensions into an Excel sheet and then printing that Excel sheet and distributing among the what they do every time they call the receptionist and asking the receptionist to connect to any particular person or asking for the number. Now with this integrations, it will become very easy for you to, whenever a new employee that join the organizations and you create the accounts like his email address and other informations in the same Windows directory and the same Active Directory, you can enter the phone numbers and the internal extension, etc. So when a user is added to the AD and the details like his or her phone numbers that include internal phone extensions, cell numbers or home numbers, whatever the information related to the phone that is entered into the centralized phone book directory into the Active Directory, that will be accessible on the phones. And what it do, it really help you, your phones, each time you're adding the contacts manually by yourself and the phone which become as a phone local phone directory, it is better to have a centralized phone book directory. And so in this demonstration, I will show you the Windows Servers 2016 with the AD services installed, and we'll use Yealink T42 desk phone as a demo to demonstrate this feature. So let's begin. Now I'll jump into the Microsoft Windows Server 2016 and then we'll open up my server manager. It's here. Yes, this is the server manager, and then click on to the tools and we'll open up the Active Directory users and computers. Here it is. Yes, now this is the structure of the Active Directories. As you can see, I have created a domain dvcom.local because we're also having a DNS onto the same server, Windows servers, and under this particular domain I created the new organization unit called staff directory. Now depending on your requirement, you can have organization wise phone directory. Let's say you have a sales and requirement or accounts, etc. You can create as many as you want and you can separate them, but just for demonstration I'm showing you as a staff directory that I have created as a new organization, and inside this organizations I'm adding all the users. Now here you need to pay a little attention. You can see some of these entries are defined as contact and some of them are defined as users. Now what is the difference? So when we define as a contact, this means we are not creating the credential for it. So this may be some external party, some vendor or supplier, their contact number onto the Active Directory. In a nutshell, these users are not using the computer, are not using anything for authentications to connect to the Active Directory. So we are just creating them as a contact. And whereas the other one, like you can see the user, the type is as a user. Let me show you the contact also and the users. If you just double click on it, you will be able to see there are more details like his credentials, informations and all these details. So here is the contact. Let me double click on it and then you'll be able to see the more informations about it. I just double click and you can see the credentials. Here you're adding the policy, member groups and all that information. But in the telephone part, you can see we are adding the mobile number and we are adding the IP phone. Now the IP phone is actually the extension, the internal extension, and the cell phone is actually their personal cell phone. You can add the home phone or the fax number also. And here you see in the contact you get very less information or less tabs. So this is something, if you have some suppliers or vendors and their phone numbers, you can add also as a contact into the Active Directory. And for all others, like there are users who are logging on to the Active Directory, you create the credential for them. You can do it by, clicking on new, and either you create a user or you create a contact, depending on your scenarios, you can do that. And now we will switch to the Yealink phone where we can enter these details so that this particular phone available on 100.59 IP address. And let me tell you this, you can also do using the phone provisioning, the XML provisioning. If you have a large deployment, let's say thousands or 500, you can use the provisioning, and same thing you can achieve. Right now, as a single phone, I'm just demonstrating you the Ldap concept, which is again Microsoft as an Active Directory. So under directory setting, you click onto the Ldap, and here we are. So the Ldap name, just you can enter MSAD, whatever you like. And these are some of the important thing, the Ldap name filter, because Yealink follow, it parse in this particular format. So we're seeing, the first name and the last name, and this is the number filter, like we are searching for the telephone number, for mobile number, and for IP phones. So IP phone is the extensions actually. And these fields actually matched exactly with the same on the Active Directory. You can see the IP phone and the mobile number. Even if you enter the home number or the fax number, the pager is no longer in use. It's an old technology. So we're just entering for the demonstration these two entries, mobile and the IP phones. And then you should put the same thing like the spelling, etc. You should take care of that. Otherwise, the phone will give you an error. So this is how we are entering. And the Ldap, we are not using TLS, not a secure mode, just for demo. And this is the IP of the server, and this is the domain name, where we have created the domain controller as dvcom.local. And that's what we just say, DC is equal to dvcom, DC is equal to local. This is the format, the base name, where it should look into these details. Now this username and password, just pay attention. This username also exists inside the Active Directory. It is not something the administrator password of your server. I have seen many people who are entering that administrator password for the server. And the next entry, you can have the Ldap name attribute, C and SN, the first name and the last name, and then the Ldap name attribute. So you want to see the mobile number, you want to see the extensions. You just pay attention. It's the same like as a filter, but it is for the display, and the filter is for searching. And just the display name we just set up as the first name, and then we can see the protocol version is 3, supported on Microsoft Windows 2016 server. And this is for the lookup. For incoming call, we want to look up. So when the same person calls in, so his name will appear onto the screen LCD. And for the outgoing and for the incoming, and this is just be enabled for the sorting. Just confirm this, enter these details. And one more setting you need to do is to go to the DSS keys and enable the Ldap. So on programmable keys on Yealink phones, we can click onto the programmable keys, and second soft key I'm assigning to the Ldap. So it is the straight key which I can press on my phone handset, and I'll be able to access the Active Directory users, and then I can call them. Now here is the demonstrations. You can see we can click onto the Ldap and then just scroll down. These are all the entries that I have added into the Active Directory as a user and also as a contact. You can choose any one of it, and then you can just see the details. The entry is Kesha 404 extension, and the cell phone is also there, has number. And then even I can also perform, if you have more than 5,000, 10,000 entries in a big corporate, then you can also do the searching. So let me just search a few words, like as searching with the S, Ralphen Subraman. So now this is his contact. And if I just click onto the details, I'll be able to see the extension and the mobile phone numbers also. Let me just click onto the send, and then the phone will make call to this particular contact. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and it has added some knowledge